Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Bachelor in Paradise 10 episode 9 spoilers. Is Keith leaving? We know that Bachelor in Paradise season 10 episode 9 is going to be intense for a number of different reasons. So where do we start here? Well, first and foremost, let's just go ahead and point out that with relationships getting more serious, the pressure is only going to keep mounting. You do have to wonder whether or not these couples are going to stick together, even ones that have found a way to be around each other from the beginning. A good example of this is what is going to happen when it comes to Kat and Dale, who have alternated between hot and cold for a good while over the season. If you head over to the link here now, you can see a full preview for what is coming up next. One that emphasizes mostly some of the remaining contestants facing their worst fears in one of the challenges. All of this is a reminder that there are some major roadblocks again. So how are the contestants going to be able to conquer some of that? It is a good question and well worth thinking about. By the end of the episode, one other question is whether or not Keith wants to leave. He does indicate that he has struggled when it comes to being away from home, and at this point, he is really starting to miss it. Is there really going to be something long-term here between him and Kathy? This may be another thing that he is left to wonder about right now. Be sure to share right now in the attached comments. Once you do just that, keep coming back. There are a lot of other updates on the way before the end of the season. The sun is setting once again on the beaches of Bachelor in Paradise, and episode 9 of season 10 promises to be one of the most emotional and potentially explosive installments of the season. Rumors have been swirling in fan forums, spoiler accounts, and Bachelor Nation gossip circles that Keith, one of this season's unexpected breakout figures, may be considering an early exit. The million-dollar question for episode 9 is Keith leaving Paradise? To understand the weight of this possible departure, we need to rewind and look at Keith's journey so far. Keith's surprising rise. Keith entered the beach without much fanfare. He wasn't the guy who had a massive spotlight on his original Bachelor/Et season, nor did he bring the kind of flashy energy that usually dominates the opening week in Paradise. Instead, he slowly carved out a reputation as the calm, thoughtful, and surprisingly funny cast member who acted as a sounding board for others. In a season filled with messy love triangles, tequila-fueled arguments, and romantic whiplash, Keith stood out as a rare grounding presence. That's part of why his rumored exit is shaking fans to their core. When you remove a voice of reason from Paradise, chaos tends to fill the void. The emotional crossroads. Episode 8 left viewers with a cliffhanger. Keith seemed torn between continuing his budding romance with Mariah, who has been both affectionate and yet somewhat guarded, and the mounting pressure of the Paradise bubble. For every romantic sunset kiss they shared, there was also tension simmering underneath. Was Mariah truly as invested as Keith? Or was she hedging her bets with someone else? Promo clips for episode 9 have teased several pivotal moments. Keith walking away from the bonfire, Keith packing the suitcase in the casita, and Keith telling a fellow contestant, "I didn't come here for drama." Those breadcrumbs have led many spoiler sleuths to assume that his Paradise journey may end abruptly. Why contestants leave Paradise? To analyze Keith's situation, it helps to remember that contestants leave Paradise for 3 main reasons: voluntary exit, emotional burnout, the pressure cooker environment of 24/7 cameras, limited privacy, and the constant push to define relationships can become overwhelming. Some contestants bow out simply to protect their mental health. Relationship collapse. If a romance fizzles or trust is broken, some contestants see no reason to linger on the beach. Surprise twists. Occasionally, production throws in curveballs, like a sudden arrival that changes the dynamic or a situation where someone realizes their heart belongs off-screen. From the previews, Keith's potential departure feels more like a voluntary exit sparked by emotional burnout and relationship Keith's dilemma. Maria, for her part, has been one of the season's most polarizing figures. Some fans adore her playful, adventurous spirit, while others criticize her for not being fully transparent with Keith. In episode 8, her interactions with newcomer Elias raised eyebrows. Though she reassured Keith afterward, fans noticed his body language shift from relaxed to guarded. Episode 9 previews also show Maria crying in an ITM in-the-moment interview, saying, "I didn't know it would end like this." The ambiguity of that line has sent Bachelor Nation into overdrive. Does she mean the end of her connection with Keith? Or is it clever editing designed to keep us guessing? The symbolic suitcase scene. In Bachelor Nation history, few images carry as much weight as the sight of a contestant rolling their suitcase across the beach. It usually signals one thing: the end of their paradise journey. Spoiler accounts claim that Keith is shown zipping up his bag in episode 9. But here's the twist. Some insiders suggest that this suitcase moment could be a fake-out, orchestrated by producers to ramp up tension, only for Keith to ultimately stay after a heartfelt conversation. If that's true, the dramatic will he want he tension is less about his departure and more about testing his relationship with Mariah. Fan reactions ahead of episode 9. On Reddit and Twitter, the Bachelor Nation community is already buzzing. Some fans are devastated at the thought of Keith leaving early. Keith is the only sane person on that beach. They can't lose him yet. If Keith leaves, the rest of the season is just going to be yelling and crying. Others, however, argue that Keith deserves better than the messy dynamics he's been pulled into. Honestly, if Mariah can't give him clarity, Keith walking away is the healthiest move he could make. Clearly, no matter what happens in episode 9, Keith has already won over a passionate fan base. What the spoilers suggest. According to spoiler chatter circulating online, episode 9 will see Keith on the verge of leaving. He'll pack, he'll walk to the gates, and he'll deliver some teary confessions about wanting a love that feels mutual and solid. But right before he steps into the van, Maria is expected to intercept him. In a dramatic confrontation, likely on the beach at sunset, she'll ask him to reconsider, insisting that her feelings are real, even if she's struggled to express them fully. The episode is rumored to end on a cliffhanger, Keith pausing, suitcase still in hand, as viewers are left unsure whether he'll stay or go. The bigger picture for Paradise. Keith's storyline in episode 9 also speaks to a larger theme in Bachelor in Paradise Season 10, the tension between authenticity and spectacle. While some contestants lean into chaos for screen time, Keith has consistently reminded audiences what the franchise was originally about: genuine connections and vulnerability. If he does leave, it could spark a domino effect, forcing other contestants to reevaluate why they're there. If he stays, his renewed commitment to pursuing love with Mariah could become one of the season's defining romances. Either way, episode 9 marks a turning point, not just for Keith but for the entire beach. Final thoughts. So, is Keith leaving Bachelor in Paradise in episode 9? The most likely answer is not yet, but the threat is real. The previews and spoilers suggest that Keith comes dangerously close to walking away, suitcase in hand, but Mariah's last-minute plea may convince him to give their relationship another shot. Regardless of the outcome, this episode will cement Keith's role as one of the most talked-about contestants of the season. He's not the loudest, flashiest, or most dramatic person in Paradise, but sometimes it's the quiet storm that leaves the biggest impact. Episode 9 is shaping up to be an unforgettable chapter in Keith's Paradise story, a test of patience, love, and whether the beach can still deliver the kind of romance that keeps fans tuning in season after season.